A lot of us may find our daily conversations dominated by negativity, bad news, or complaints. But how do you respond when someone comes to you with something good? When your toddler shares that they had a great day at daycare, or your teenager makes that B+ in math, your friend shares about the $5 they found, or your partner tells you about an old friend they ran into at work. Of course, you have the best intentions, but do you respond in a way that makes them want to share more things with you or less? That's the subject of today's video. Hello and welcome back to Black, White, Gray, Yellow. My name is Diana and this channel is all about communication, connection, and resilience. Today, like last week, we're talking about another skill that builds connection with others, one of the 6 things resilient people have. As a quick background on me, I'm a Master Resilience Trainer in the United States Army National Guard. I also served 13 months as the State Resilience Coordinator at my state's Joint Force Headquarters. This series is based on the research behind the skills taught as part of that program, replacing proprietary material with references to open source research and books. So you can share these videos freely. If you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe. Today we're talking about a concept called Active Constructive Responding, or ACR. This concept comes from research done by Dr. Shelly Gable, now a professor of social psychology at UC Santa Barbara. 2 papers in particular lay the foundation of the ACR concept. A 2004 paper titled, "What Do You Do When Things Go Right? The Intrapersonal and Interpersonal Benefits of Sharing Positive Events," and a 2006 paper called, "Will You Be There For Me When Things Go Right? Supportive Responses to Positive Event Disclosures." Links to both are in the description. Dr. Gable chose to measure how people respond to positive events along 2 axes, the active-passive and the constructive-destructive axes, following a 1982 paper by Rusbelt, Zembrot, and Gunn that used these same axes to measure how people responded to negative events. The hypotheses were about which types of responses would lead to stronger interpersonal connection, and that stronger connection is the resilience competency we're working to build with today's skill. Dr. Gable and her team predicted that both active and passive destructive responding would hurt the interpersonal relationship, that active constructive responding would foster deeper connection, and they didn't make a prediction about the passive constructive responding. Well, the results of their studies were pretty clear, that only the active constructive responding helped to build interpersonal connection, while all 3 of the other response types tended to hurt that interpersonal relationship. Let's talk a little bit more about each type. Remember that this research is all about what happens after someone chooses to share something positive, good news or a positive event. Passive constructive. This response type is constructive because the feedback on the positive event is positive, but it's passive because you aren't really engaging with it. It's like the, "Oh, that's nice, dear," before dismissing it and changing the subject. Usually this is very well-meaning, as when a busy parent is preoccupied with 1,000 things they need to get done, and acknowledging something your child says is just one more thing on the list, but there's no way you have time to stop everything you're doing and have a conversation with your 4-year-old right now. But that doesn't make it any less damaging. If you do this one time on a particularly busy day, is it going to ruin your relationship with your child? No, especially if they're old enough to understand. But if this becomes a pattern of behavior where you're just always too busy to really see your loved ones when they come to you with what's going on in their lives, you may find yourself wondering why they don't really talk to you anymore. Passive destructive. This response is again passive because you aren't really engaging with what they said, but destructive because your response to what the person said is ultimately negative, specifically because you take what they said and inadvertently put it down by having to one-up their experience with your own. Again, this is often well-meaning, as in, your experience allows you to relate to what they said, and that's how conversations go, so I'll talk about my thing now. But again, this doesn't make it any less harmful to the relationship, and it's also just kind of a dick move. If someone shares something about their own experience, the polite way to continue the conversation is to ask them questions to have them elaborate on their experience. And then you can change the subject to talk about your own experience if you want, if it's relevant, if it isn't just going to make them feel bad because your experience one-ups theirs. Again, if you do this once on accident, it isn't likely to ruin your relationship unless you're making a first impression. But if you do this consistently with a parent, child, friend, or colleague, don't be surprised if they don't want to talk to or even associate with you much anymore. Active destructive. This response is again destructive because what you're ultimately doing is putting down the positive experience, but active in that you are actively engaging with what they said. Now, contrary to what this may sound like, this doesn't mean you're actively trashing their good thing on purpose. Once again, this response is usually well-meaning, as when the good thing inspires worry or anxiety. Maybe your daughter comes home and excitedly tells you she got her first tattoo, or your significant other tells you that he won free tickets to go skydiving next weekend. Usually we respond this way out of love and care for the person. We're just looking out for them. And in the case where someone is in imminent danger, this kind of response may even be necessary. But again, if done consistently, don't be surprised if people stop wanting to share their good things with you, because despite your intentions, you are ultimately squashing their good thing. This is how you end up with a daughter that stops telling you what's going on in her life, or a significant other that stops telling you what he or she is doing with their free time. Active constructive. This response is again active because you are actively engaging with the good news the person shared, but in this case constructive because you're responding positively to it. Unlike passive constructive, this is taking the time to stop and give your full attention to the person, even just for a minute, to let them share their positive thing with you. This is that polite conversation I mentioned earlier, asking deeper questions about their experience, rather than one-upping their experience with your own. If you do have fears or anxieties about the thing, unless of course someone is in imminent danger, you can put those fears or anxieties aside for the minute to allow them to share their moment of happiness with you, and then you can bring up those anxieties afterward. According to Gable's research, this is the only of the 4 ways to respond that will deepen or strengthen your connection with the other person, rather than sabotaging it. One thing that's key about active constructive responding, or ACR, is that the response is authentic. It isn't just about cheerleading the other person, but showing genuine interest in their experience. If it isn't anything you know or care anything about, ask questions to show them that you care because it makes them happy and you care about them. For example, I don't know anything about airsoft guns. What makes this one top of the line? And it doesn't matter if the positive thing they shared is big or small. Your level of excitement may vary depending on the news, as it should for an authentic response, but the amount that responding actively and constructively will improve or deepen your relationship with that person is seemingly independent of the significance of the news. In some ways, ACR is like looking for the good, but with another person. In the same way, you don't just want to notice the good thing. You want to take some time to dwell on it, to let that person relive that experience with you a little bit. You have to think, this person brought you some good news, perhaps for no reason other than that they wanted to share that experience with you. Let them share it fully, or at least for a minute, as much as you have time for. Let them tell you all about it and ask questions to show interest in what it is they're trying to convey and why it's so good. Again, even if you otherwise wouldn't care about the subject. Recognize that them sharing this good news with you is a gift, just as surely as if they'd brought you flowers or something, and even more so because they're opening up a vulnerable part of themselves to do it. Think about it. How often do you share with others a genuine smile? How many people do you feel comfortable nerding out around? How many of us, and with how many of our colleagues, family, or even friends, do we hide behind professionalism, apparent apathy, or sarcasm? When someone chooses to share with you something positive, perhaps cautiously with apparent indifference, that is still an exposure of a deeper part of themselves than they would share with just anybody. It is an invitation for connection. Of course, your response may depend on whether or not you want a connection with that person, but in the event that you do, it is worth the conscious effort to respond actively and constructively. Unlike the other types of responding, active constructive isn't usually an intuitive way to respond if it isn't something we've been exposed to before. Unless you've had good role models of ACR in your life, it may feel strange the first many times you do it. But as you practice it and it becomes more fluid, you will find, as Dr. Gable's research shows, that rather than pushing people away, it will actually deepen your relationships with those people. What started out as sharing a small little thing may turn into open heart-to-heart conversations. How valuable would this be with your adolescent children, with your partner, with your parents or adult children? Trust is another word for what we're building here with this person. Even if the person is a stranger and you aren't likely to ever see them again, responding with ACR is both good practice for you, and maybe you can even be the positive role model for ACR in their life and inspire or empower them to make deeper connections with their loved ones. Now, because pictures are worth 1,000 words, let's go through some examples. Hey Diana. So I hit my goal. I have over 100 YouTube subscribers now. Oh, hey, that's cool. Hey, listen, we've got about 1,000 things to do tonight and we still gotta eat. What do you want for dinner? I don't care. No? What about our favorite place? I think we've got just enough time. No, I'm good. I'd rather stay home. You can go if you want. Hey Diana. So I hit my goal. I have over 100 YouTube subscribers now. No way, because I just hit my goal of hitting over 100 YouTube subscribers. Man, can I tell you, I've been working so hard on this channel, and it is really gratifying to see it finally start to pay off. Do you know how many hours I've put into the last few videos? It's been insane. But you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, hey, I could use a beer. Let's go out to dinner, my treat. We'll go to my favorite place, huh? No thanks. What, don't you like that place too? Nah, that's okay. I just really don't feel like going out. You go ahead. I'll see you later. Hey Diana. So I hit my goal. I have over 100 YouTube subscribers now. Really? So, have you been called a Nazi yet? Yeah, actually. Geez, I was just kidding. Are you for real? Aren't you worried that it's only going to get worse the more subscribers you have? Figured I could handle it. Well, make no mistake, the absolute worst place on the internet is the comments on YouTube. If you haven't come across that yet, you will eventually. Just be careful, is all I'm saying. Okay, I sure will. So you want to go out for dinner? Maybe we can even celebrate you a little bit. I'll take you out to your favorite restaurant. I'm not hungry. Thanks, though. I gotta go. Hey, Diana. So I hit my goal. I have over 100 YouTube subscribers now. Oh, yeah? That's awesome. You know, you've been working really hard on those videos. I'm really glad to hear it's paying off. So what's your next goal? 1,000? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe 500. Neato. Are you going to do anything on your channel to help celebrate the achievement? I hadn't really thought about it. Maybe I'll ask people to post some ideas in the comments. Oh, I like that idea. And I bet that'll even help you get even closer to your next goal. People like stuff like that. You know, you're really impressive building this channel from nothing. It's awesome to watch. Thank you. You're welcome. Hey, maybe I can even take you out to dinner tonight to celebrate. We can go to your favorite restaurant. You mean your favorite restaurant? They just happen to be one and the same. Yeah, all right. Let's go. And as I have hit my first goal of over 100 YouTube subscribers, please do write in the comments what you would like to see in celebration. This could be a special video, a dog cam, a cat cam, a custom poem, or maybe I'll even sing for you if that's what you want to see. I trust you can come up with way more and better ideas than I will, so let the comments fly. And if you aren't already subscribed, you can help me toward my next goal of 500 YouTube subscribers by clicking that button now. And just to be clear, this isn't like a Netflix subscription. It doesn't cost anything. It just means you like my content and have quicker access to my videos. Active constructive responding is one way to deepen our connection to other people. And the more deeply we are connected to others, the better prepared we are to weather adversity or bounce back from failure. In other words, connection builds resilience. To learn another skill that builds connection with others, check out my last video on effective praise. But that's all for this video. Until next time, my name is Diana, and this has been Black, White, Gray, Yellow.